Well, so we wanted to tie it into the shooter universe somehow, but not be, it's not really the same game at all. So what we did is we had a think about what happened at the end of PixelJunk Shooter 2, and we decided, well, the guy is going to be on his way back to, or whoever you are in the game is going to be back on his way to Earth, and well, what's he going to be doing all that time? So let's give him something to do, like give him a game to play on the way back. And so that's where the concept for like the old school sort of retro sort of CRT sort of monitor look came from. We were trying to design what the computer would look like in the capsule on the way back, and we sort of went for this sort of retro future sort of style.
Dylan had an idea that he wanted to make the interface for the game be kind of like a computer on board the Pinita Colada, which was the mothership from Shooter. And we in the meeting he brought this up. We had all these kind of crazy ideas where Kimura, who's one of the planners that was working on Shooter, it would actually be his computer, and it would be he would have his voice in the game. Like when you're playing, he would be like cursing when you died, like we had all these kind of stupid ideas, but they were kind of fun, and we all got behind them, and we wanted to make the interface look really like an old computer monitor or something. And then I tried putting the game graphics in this style, and that's kind of where that came from.
Normally Andy came up with a very good concept, a very good idea that impressed all of us. So what we try is to realize with our engine his concept. So first what I want to understand is how he came up with his idea, his concept, what is the process, what he thought when he realized his concept. So I can figure out a little bit, I can figure out how I can realize it with our engine. And then from here we start a loop. First I start with some tests, and so he can watch my test. There is a very close loop where we work together, so I can show him what I did. He give me new ideas, drive me in the better directions, and or teach me better how he did this in Photoshop or the other tool. And then step by step we get closer to the quality that he wants. I think Andy is a very particular designer because he has a lot of programming skill. He likes programming very much, and so it's very easy to communicate with him. The process is with him is very fast, and we can come up with very interesting works.
Paolo, the lead programmer, is always really easy to work with. He seems to have a knack for being able to do what you ask in a really short period of time, and then you can go through it with him, and he, even the first pass of what he does, usually he manages to capture your idea and adds it in his own input as well, and he has kind of a good eye for detail, and he knows about the way things should feel as well, so he kind of gets things right straight away pretty much, and even if he doesn't, it's always very quick to iterate with Paolo. So he's really awesome to work with actually.
Come on up.
When we just finished with Shooter 2, we were really surprised when Dylan Cuthbert got in touch and asked us to do a third game with PixelJunk. And a lot of the inspirations behind that game involved using some of the concepts in Shooter 1 and Shooter 2 and applying them to a whole different kind of retro gaming genre. So part of his idea with the sound, which came through to us, was to try and use some of the themes and some of the audio concepts behind the music for Shooter and Shooter 2. and to incorporate that into the soundtrack for SideScroller.
Musically, we had a challenge because it is a very good game, and we just upped our sort of thinking around video games and taking taking sounds and making them more organic to work within the game.
Because it's fast and furious SideScroller. It's got a tempo that we really wanted to reflect in the music, and we certainly found from some of the demos and ideas that we sent over for comments that the ones that really pushed along with the same kind of tempo of the game were the ones that were really working best for the developers and the artists at Q. And for us, that kind of tempo and that kind of driving is something that we hadn't really experimented with putting into high frequency bandwidth before. So it was a slow evolvement through trying different ways to work with that level of tempo and that level of energy rather than being really laid back, before we kind of eventually hit a stride. And suddenly, I mean, literally over a period of about 2 hours, we went from tearing our hair out, if we had it, to you would, but you shaved it. Going, we just don't like this, and suddenly it clicked, and suddenly everything came really quickly, and it was just a question of fitting in that real retro electronica, which the game gets across with the CRT scanned screen with the scan lines on it and the lo-finess of that. I have to say, I don't think either of us have ever been particularly scared of using sounds other than drums and musical instruments to create music, and to look for a kind of music concrete out of stuff and sounds, found sounds and things that are around us.
So why not use a floppy disk and turn that into a musical sound?
Yeah.
Etc. That kind of principle, and that's what we've done.
Yeah, so when I was a kid growing up in the 80s, or the late 70s even, that was really when the first wave of side-scrolling shoot-em-ups were born. I really sort of enjoyed that simplicity in those old games, and I think it's important to try and sometimes take those older ideas and sort of reinvent them into something modern and make it classic again, because a lot of people have forgotten about that style of game. I mean, some people are pretty hardcore and they still play some of the stuff that comes out of Japan, which is really hardcore. But I think normal game players, more regular, less hardcore game players, also can enjoy that genre if we take it back a little bit and then modernize it to make it feel like it's brand new. By giving it like a full HD, full HD graphics, and really tightening the way the game works, and having lots of special effects and that kind of thing. And so I think that was the key, really. It's something we do a lot in PixelJunk. Is take some of those old nostalgic ideas from the 80s, bring them kicking and screaming into the 10s, whatever, the 2010s, and then work out what to do with that in the modern medium. Like try and work out how to mold that into something that the modern gamer can also enjoy.
Machine gun, laser, machine gun, danger, machine gun, laser, machine gun, PlayStation